Boza, Boza, Boza.
Come on!
What it is.
What's up?
Got your
Yo,
person
nigga
in the cat.
Goddamn.
I am so excited today. How are you?
I'm excited. I'm tired. I'm tired.
That's
I'm
always there.
excited.
That's
I'm
always
always
there.
there. I'm the ambassador at this
I
point.
feel like
of
we are all.
tiredness.
Who isn't? I feel like tired is currently the default. Like there
Definitely.
is not a single person in the world
Yeah.
who is not.
If you're not tired, wow, good for you.
Nice.
I wish I was. you.
You have to have a certain level of like privilege to not be tired right now
swear
because
to
it means
God.
you can actually be attentive to
Exactly.
your emotional needs
Yeah.
without having to be held up by capitalism and everything else.
Exactly.
Give me some of that.
Please, please, please. How are you doing?
I'm all right. I'm in a good mood today. It's been like a tough, weird week. Period. Hormones,
Listen.
work, life. But today I'm on top. And you?
I'm good. I am. It's been a hectic week, yo. It's been a hectic week. I'm looking forward to resting this weekend.
Yes.
For the first time in a minute, I'm not gonna be working over the weekend.
Nice.
So I'm really happy about that.
So we're going hiking.
Yes, we're going hiking.
Okay,
I might
okay,
get a
okay.
nose ring even.
Oh,
Might
wow.
see my parents.
Oh, wow.
You know, like it's gonna be a good weekend. So I'm looking forward to that. Yes.
Nice. So today we actually have something
Yes.
really, really exciting to share.
Very exciting.
If you have been listening to this podcast
Yes.
for some time, you will definitely know who
Yeah.
Menzi
Listening
is.
and watching. Yes.
So Menzi, or an Arcadium in the streets, is the guy that actually enabled us to have a podcast. Like we exist because of him.
Still.
He is basically the father of Esmgo, right? And even now he is still parenting really,
Yeah.
really well.
Yeah.
So
For
Menzi,
free.
literally,
So don't forget to give us your
literally
money.
good Samaritan vibes. So Menzi has now ventured into a new thing, which is really, 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 really exciting. He's trying to create or will create
A
with
live
your
action,
money
yeah?
a live, a graphic novel.
Yes. So,
Graphic novel called Mount Olympus. And he has launched, I don't know when this is going to come out, but in the last week, he launched a donation run on Jumpstart.
Jumpstarter, yeah.
Where he's basically asking all of us to help him out. And I think if you have listened to Esmgo and it has done anything for you, we have
One of
never
the ways you can
asked-
show, one of the ways you can show your gratitude for this. We're not blackmailing you.
literally at all, like from the bottom of I'm donating,
Yes,
Misho's
definitely.
donating
For the next
You
3 months.
have
So it's
two opportunities.
yeah.
It's 61 days as we speak. So
Closes on the 27th of June. Yes.
oh, okay.
Yeah,
so
it's
that's
when it closes.
that's May.
have 3
June.
paydays.
You have 3 paydays.
That's what we're gonna do.
to donate to
So-
Menzi. The minimum that you can donate is 50 rand.
Yeah.
The maximum,
I mean-
I know there's a lot of rich aunties on this platform.
Let's go.
So the maximum, you guys can challenge each other with that. But we're just going to tell you a bit about Mount Olympus, and then
Yes.
we're going to include the Jumpstarter link in
Yeah,
the
it's gonna be
description
everywhere.
for this episode.
Yeah.
You will also find the Jumpstarter link as our pinned tweet.
Yes,
we're
we're gonna
going
do
to
that.
pin it for the next few months. You'll also find it on our Instagram. We're going to add it on our link tree.
Yeah.
So please, 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 if you appreciate Esmgo, if what we are doing here means anything to you, please back Menzi.
Yeah.
So the project itself, Mount Olympus, is a fictional story based in an alternative South Africa where a civil war broke out post 1994. Hoteps are gonna love this one, resulting in the country going in a down. I could never do a voiceover ever. It's so tough. But resulting in a downward spiral of chaos, corruption, and lawlessness. Sounds like what we're in right now.
Yeah.
So even though the story is fictional, the show shines a light on various socio-political issues and magnifies them through the world, the characters, and the different agendas.
Yes, so the character who goes by the name Ngaba is caught in a tough
Well
predicament.
done, you pronounced that really, really well. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you.
out here, like, is caught in a tough predicament after realizing that his work as a policeman has become meaningless in a country where the government and powerful gangsters work hand in hand to keep the money flowing and the country running. That kind of sounds.
This sounding hella realistic.
It's resonating.
So after discovering an underground fighting tournament held by one of the country's most powerful kingpins, where the winner gets to go against the kingpin himself, decides to enter the competition as a last resort to get true justice against the powers that be. This is like my biggest fantasy. Like, remember we were talking about which politician would you like to beat
box,
up? So if you would like to see that in a live
and y'all have had the
graphic
chat
novel,
with us on Clubhouse and everything.
please,
so.
let's make this thing happen.
Yes.
So we're going to plug this a lot in every single episode that we drop until the donation run ends, because I know it's going to end because everyone is going to donate.
Exactly.
So
We're gonna
please,
reach the goal.
from as little as 50 Rand, that is the update for the week.
Yes.
Nothing negative,
We're not gonna,
positive vibes. Back a brother that's out there trying.
That's it. And, as a result of that, we want to talk about, I think it's definitely, relevant.
Yes, it's inspired by
relevant,
this.
actually, talking about letting go of the shame attached to wanting or needing things. I think a lot of us can, relate. I think even Menzi was mentioning that he felt incredibly vulnerable
And very
or
anxious. Yes,
anxious
it
about
is.
putting himself out there like that.
And I think people always say like, "Oh, what's the worst that could happen?"
A lot.
Like
People could call you a scammer.
No, outside of that, like in terms of personally, like I have put myself out there. I am so vulnerable.
Yeah.
I am so bare,
Yeah.
and then people publicly reject this. So I'm not only dealing with what we would call failure on my own. There are many people witnessing this.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you still won't get anything if you do not articulate the need or the want.
Yes.
And I think I've been thinking about this quite a lot. Because a few months ago, I went to go see, there's this really wacky doctor, I won't say where, but a lot of people like to recommend her, right?
Yeah.
And she's actually, what's that term for a generic doctor?
GP.
She's a GP.
General practitioner.
Practitioner, but she seems to really want to be a psychologist, and every time you go see her, she just delves deeper in other shit that's none about her business. None of your business. Like my lymph nodes are swollen from stress. Let's deal with that. Leave my mom's death alone. So she ended up having a chat with me, which was true. She was dragging me. Because I wasn't ready to speak about that, but about the shame that I have when it comes to my finances. It's very difficult for me to say no.
Yeah.
And it's not, it has nothing to do with other people taking advantage of me, but me not having boundaries in place, and then me not expressing those boundaries in a clear way.
Yeah.
Right? But at the same time, on the other side, because I have put self-reliance on a pedestal, it's very difficult for me to articulate a need or a want. And that has been so detrimental, because you end up trying to go the long road on your own when there's so many open hands
willing
on the way who are willing, and this thing of waiting for them to be the ones that offer help instead of asking for it has not worked in my favor.
Yeah. And what that often does, I guess for some people, is that you end up harboring unnecessary resentment. And you see that a lot. Nobody's
helping me. Nobody thinks of me.
Girl, nobody's supporting you or thinking of you because you're not thinking about yourself, first of all. And you're not saying, hey, think about me.
Yes,
that's what you need to do, guys.
Yes.
Because unfortunately, the way life is set up is that we get so preoccupied with our own things. I think I've had to learn that properly over the past couple of years. Not that I would ever like stew in the feelings of like nobody will help me, but I definitely have always felt very isolated from everybody else because I isolated my damn self.
Yeah.
Not because
Same.
people aren't, you know, willing to help. I mean, the times where I have been like, oh my God, I need help. Everyone's been
You
like,
get
what?
the help.
Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
Don't
And it's so
ever
shocking.
hesitate. Yeah, you're always like, oh my God, it's that easy. Because before you ask, it's like, oh my God, you know, oh, what
They're
if
gonna
this?
think this
They're
of
gonna
me.
think this.
I think it's because like there's so much shame attached to like, and I'm gonna root it in finances, as well as emotional support.
Yeah, definitely.
Because I think there's so much shame in being in need when those two things are on the table. Because the way that we have been spoken to about debt or about being short or about being broke has been laced with so much shame that like being vulnerable to the point of saying, can you help me out here? Feels like you're telling on yourself by saying, because with the can you help me out, I always feel like underneath that I'm saying,
I don't have
I'm
my shit
failing as an
together,
adult. I don't have my shit
absolutely.
together. I'm not self-reliant.
Especially when you've set it up in such a way that it looks like you've had your shit together. You know, all
Yes,
along.
and it's like, oh my God, like they're gonna think I'm dropping the ball.
I'm a
and
fraud,
I remember
etc.
like having this conversation with my little sister because I've always noticed that she's a person that's not afraid to ask. And like for me, it was always positioned as like, or I positioned it as like, oh my gosh, she's such a brat. Like, oh my gosh, she doesn't consider that people have like all these other things happening. And it's actually like, no.
That's the reason why people don't ask.
Yeah. That's why, because I was projecting.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want to be perceived in that way.
Yeah.
But like when I look at it, I'm like, no, she's actually like not letting the problem get bigger.
She's just out
Like,
here being vulnerable, child.
she's being open and she's not letting the thing get to the point of where now it's going to feel like such a task for the people who need to help you out as well. Like it should feel like less of a problem when another person gets involved as opposed to them feeling like, oh my God, like this is such a big thing as well. So I it's something I've been struggling with a lot. Like, and I had this chat with her and I was like, because I'd always felt like in my life, especially after my mom passed away, it was like my dad was the only person who was financially responsible for me. And then I could never ask my gran for anything. Because in my mind, I was always like, why is she not thinking that like I need stuff? Like, why is it not like clicking in her head that like it's been years. I've never given Snesipa like X amount, but she's always telling me she's doing this for my sister and that and that and that. And then my sister was like, have you ever spoken to her? Like she's clearly assuming that you're fine, that like your dad's got you, like, and you've never said anything. And once I started like saying, oh mama, can you please do this, she would always do it, and I'd always be so shocked because I'm like, all these years I've been denying myself.
No, I feel you. I mean, when you speak about finances, I mean, I can think back to being a university student, especially in my honors year, and feeling so because I couldn't get employment. I just couldn't. You know, like, you know, when you're applying every day, left, right, and center. Yay.
I was saying to you that like I personally don't think that like I can I don't think that I can apply for a job. Like I've never gotten a job through applying for one. Like I've always gotten one from being referred. And every time I've applied for a job, I've never gotten an interview. Like I've never secured an interview ever. So it's a very heartbreaking process. I ain't never trying to apply. If you want me, hit me up. I'm never doing it again. I'm not mature enough yet. It's heartbreaking.
It's so heartbreaking. And I remember because, you know, obviously I was in Pretoria and I was studying, and you know, my parents kind of had to foot the bill for essentially everything. And that was the case. I mean, I finished my honors year, and then I found a job at the end of the year, and it was like paying me. I think I was getting paid 2.5.
Jesus Christ.
And at the time, I had to travel to Sandton. That's where I
remember.
was working.
Yes, I remember.
And I mean, 2.5. With a Gautrain card,
done.
that's literally 2 weeks. 2.5 is literally 2 weeks. And then there's still groceries, there's still petrol, there's still, you know, all these different things. And I remember feeling like such a burden. Like like for the longest time, it was like plaguing me. And the way I was moving and it just, it was just ridiculous.
And you isolate yourself.
You isolate yourself so much because you're like, oh my God, you know, I feel like I feel like a burden. I don't want to be out and about because that means I need to spend money. I don't have the money. I don't want to ask for the money either because I don't want people to feel like, oh my God, they need to
supplement me all the
time. And so like I had to definitely learn the tough way, especially when it comes to finances, about asking. My parents as well actually were like, dude, just ask. Like, even
Literally.
if we can't, we'll always make a plan for you. Like it's so funny. I had a chat with my dad in the beginning of the year, and he was actually touched that I wasn't asking him for stuff. Like, he was like, there's
What's
tuition.
happening?
Like, why aren't you asking me? Why are you trying to pay for this stuff on your own? Like, there's no reason. And I was like, oh, so I can ask? Like, what?
I can't remember the last time I asked my dad for money. Like, I think I was in my undergrad. Like, the last time I asked for money just in G.
Yeah. No, my folks were like, dude, like, there's really no need for you to sit there and try and suffer and work extra and do this and that and tire yourself out. When we're here, it may be tough, but we're here for that. And I think that can be applied across the board.
Even emotionally,
Even emotionally, exactly, because it is a tough thing to carry. It's a tough burden to carry.
Like, it's a tough... I was thinking about it last week. Like, I was just... when you're just sitting and you're like, wow, I've changed so much as a person.
Yeah.
That, like, even my emotional needs have changed so much. And then now having to update people in your life or having to find a way to communicate that is such a difficult thing to do because the other person is going to feel like, what am I not doing?
Yeah.
Right? And it always feels so terrible to have to tell a person that like, oh, I would like more of this, or I'd like this, or because it will always feel like, oh, I've been failing. Like, even being on the receiving end of that, you're like, oh, so I've been neglecting you in this and this way. And it's very difficult to like receive or internalize information about a lack without
making it about
berating yourself. And like, I still don't know how to fully articulate like my new emotional needs because they're also like growing. Like, you'll find a new one like
as well.
Yeah, and it's like
just in the year of lockdown alone, my emotional needs have grown, but I don't know how much now. Like, now I can properly say that I can no longer be a lone wolf. I mean, I grew up like that. I was very much I can't anymore. It is not my portion in this life. I will die.
I get you. I get you. Like, I feel like it's so difficult to articulate emotional needs though.
It is.
Because at the same time, you're like, okay, I feel this thing, or I'm feeling a discomfort or a lack.
Yeah.
But then finding the words and then being able to tell someone exactly what it is that you would like them to do.
Yeah,
without
making it seem to them like you're lashing out, because unfortunately it can be received that way. I mean, I've been in that type of situation where someone communicated a lack thereof, and unfortunately I and others had received it as a lash, and it was like, whoa, oh my God, but thankfully it was fixed. But yeah, it's a really tough thing to articulate, because also aside from how other people receive it, there's also the shame as well. There's a sense of
admitting
that I need
this. And I feel that shame a lot, because I think I grew up very, very sensitive and very like, I used to wear, I still do, but like as a kid, it's very difficult to manage your emotions.
Yeah.
And then you sort of get hardened by life and hardened by adults. And then you grow up in like, there's one thing that it's wild. Like, you grow up in this internet age of Tumblr and all of that stuff where it's like, there's this hectic messaging that's forcing you to be very independent emotionally, like in a very unhealthy way. Nobody owes you anything. Like, it's pushing you towards this thing of like, external validation isn't necessary. You don't need other people. You need to be all of that stuff. And then getting to like, we're in our late 20s. What the fuck? We're in our late 20s. But then going through like that militant feminist stage where you're now like, I'm my own woman.
Yeah.
I don't need male validation. I don't need this. I don't need this. I can stand on my own. I can validate myself. Then you get to your late 20s and it's like, hey.
Yeah,
There's
my
certain
needs
things
are
that you've been lying to
changing.
yourself
Yeah.
about. Like, and you've always had these needs.
Yeah.
And now they're becoming stronger the older you get and the more life becomes more dynamic, right?
Yeah.
And it's so difficult to admit because for the last, let's say, 10 years,
Yeah.
you've been on this
Hey.
Miss Independent train emotionally. And I just feel so bare right now because, like, I will have times where something that I have not even communicated will literally hurt the shit out of me from someone else. And it's like, but you're being unfair because you haven't even communicated. You haven't even found the words to communicate this.
Yeah.
But it's such a big need for me.
Yeah.
And Yakoa, guys.
Yo, no, it's tough. Like, I've been going through that for the past like year and a half, maybe 2 years, where, you know, my needs have, or I won't say my emotional needs have been changing. I think they've always been there, you know.
Yeah, we've been
You know,
suppressing.
we've been
You've been too
suppressing.
ashamed to openly admit that I would like
Exactly.
my friends to engage with me in this way.
Exactly.
I would like
I want
my
to see my
partner-
friends every week.
Yes,
I want to,
yes.
you know, maybe even if when we're texting, you know, I want to be able to text you every other day. Because, you know,
Yes.
we're in that thing of like, my friends and I.
We don't have to
we
talk
don't
all
have
the
to-
time, but the moment we
No.
chat, we're so close. Like, there's so
No.
much bullshit we've
That is
internalized.
bullshit, dog. Like, that is utter rubbish. Like, I personally, I don't subscribe to that anymore. Like, I get the whole thing of us being busy, but where you can, you know, you check in. you know.
I am in such a weird position because I remember that whole, like, I love friendship, right?
Yeah.
And I like in varsity, I was so close to all of my friends. I was like, we talking every day, seeing each other every day, almost basically living with each other, right? And then it almost felt like there were situations where you just feel like, oh my God, I'm coming off as too clingy. I feel like I've been giving too much. It doesn't feel reciprocal. And then you sort of pull away and isolate yourself and create this thing where now you're like, oh, I don't talk to people as much. And it's like, I actually miss being in a space where I'm talking to my friends all the time, every day.
exactly.
I can see my friends whenever. I miss that thing a lot.
Yeah.
And it just like sucks that, as you're right, we hide behind being busy
Yeah.
because there's like so much shame that comes with being needy or being
Yeah.
perceived as being needy when
Exactly.
it's just, you really miss that human connection. And I think lockdown has made me miss it so much more. Like,
So much.
I'm not coping.
Yeah.
I'm not coping. Friendship applications are also open.
Always.
If you're in Joburg,
Always.
around the parks,
Always.
and you're COVID free, holla at me.
Holla at the girl. I'm always looking for new people to hang around. If you're in my area, I can't share. But, you know, just hit me up on Twitter.
Yo, dog,
think.
I'm keen. If you want to go for a walk, you're safe.
Yeah, I need walking partners as well. So,
'Cause-
yeah, like there's just, I've definitely been going through that thing, whether it's with friendships, whether it's with family. Oh, I think realize
family,
Even
dog.
family, when you're like,
Yo.
oh my God, I need my family. Like, I need my family.
That thing scares me so much because I think I was chatting to you about it, like
yeah.
how big my family used to
Yeah.
be. And the other day I was realizing that I really miss like so many of these people.
Yeah.
But then your adult brain like
Yeah.
tells you, nah,
Remember
life
when
is better now. Remember what they
Exactly.
did to your grand. Remember what they did to your mom. But also you're like, oh my God, like considering where I am financially,
Yeah.
I would be so messed up emotionally because that would introduce another dynamic
Yeah.
where I feel like I should be helping people out.
Yeah.
And then it was going to be a crink and crunkum.
Exactly.
So, but I still miss them.
Definitely.
And you see what I did there? I just like manipulated myself right now out of like owning the fact that I miss them. Like I miss them.
Yeah, you miss them, period.
I miss them. That's where
Period.
it ends. Yeah.
And I think also romantically as well. I saw someone tweeting earlier. They were like, it's hard for, I think I was looking for it just now. It's so hard for me to admit that I personally want companionship without feeling like a loser. It personally annoys me that I want these things. I see this as a personal weakness, in brackets, to want to be loved by a man.
I understand.
And what you were talking about, you know, with the whole feminist coming up, you know, militant feminist.
And we were a bit
stage
young
that
for
we
some of the
were.
things that we were
Yeah.
internalizing. When I
and,
look back.
and then obviously with the evolution as we're, you know, evolving, and then there's the sort of there's this sort of ideology on divesting from men where it's not communicated properly, or
It's laced with shame.
Yeah,
it's laced with shame because it doesn't factor in it doesn't factor in why women are so invested in men.
Yeah.
And it doesn't look at that empathetically at all.
Yeah.
It's very shameful. It's very finger pointing. And I personally, I really feel like it's a conversation that cis-het women need to have amongst themselves.
100%.
Like there are certain people who do not believe. You can't be speaking. You can't be pointing down and speaking in that way. And I fully understand that there is a level of violence that comes with cis-het women's investment in men.
100%.
Speak about that portion, but when you start to undermine people's emotional need for companionship,
don't also I'm not blaming anyone, but when I saw that tweet, I then was reminded of the one episode that we did, as well as a conversation that I had with my friend where we were speaking about, instead of us doing things behind closed doors, very shabby things, we need to practice radical honesty. Whether it is once we've been caught behind closed doors or before that, to say, I have been so incredibly lonely that I was okay with giving up certain things so that that part of my life can be fulfilled.
And when you shame women in the way that's happening now, in the way that the conversation about disinvesting from men is happening, you create that. And that's more dangerous.
Unfortunately. And so, I mean, I was also speaking, I think also another thing I don't like about that conversation is like, we need to build community amongst women, right? Which is I personally love
I
my
believe
time
in that,
time with women is everything. But I think it kind of just fizzles out there. I'm not saying that other people should do the work for cishet, absolutely not. Cishet women definitely need to sit down with themselves and just think about, what does that mean?
And
how is it done in a way that does not
take away my emotional and sexual and physical needs,
but also does not expose the women I'm with to violence from the people that I want to be around, or from my desires, depending on how they show up. So it's just a whole thing. But anyway, I saw that tweet and I was like, the shame that we've attached to wanting companionship, whether it's from men or from wherever, is so dangerous, because like I said, we then find ourselves in these because then you're sitting there in your space alone, in your head alone, and the next person that comes to you, you're like, you know what,
let me do this, and I'm
red
keep
flags
quiet.
Everywhere. Red flags are just
and you're
flying.
not operating from an empowered position.
Not at all.
Right? And I think within our needs and wants, we always need to be operating. Well, the best situation is for us to operate from an empowered position.
Absolutely.
And when we shun needs and wants that are within reason, we create...
Because it's such a... why are we... I get why, but the more I've been thinking about it, even for myself, I've been like, why the hell...
Why are you so ashamed
I been so ashamed of that? Of just saying that, oh my
because of
God, I'm lonely.
The way we've been raised and the way that we've... actually, not the way that we've been raised, the way that we've conditioned ourselves, right? Because we were raised to want men and to look forward to that. And then we unlearned all of that. And then now... It's like when people, we were all actually making that joke, like, being heterosexual is my weakness. Or, and that's so fucking ridiculous, because it's you literally admitting that, within this space that I find myself in, I'm not willing to do anything about the privilege that I have. And I'm not willing to redefine this relationship for myself in a way that isn't going to be harmful to others who are less privileged than myself and the person that I am with. And I think that's what we all need to do for ourselves and the relationships that we find ourselves in, right? You need to say, I am into men, heterosexual men. how do I make sure that the relationship that I am in and that the person that I choose is not harmful to the people that I bring into my life or other people out there? And how do I ensure that the relationship that we have is safe for us, but also does not continue to perpetuate harmful heteronormative systems and stigmas, et al. And I don't think that that's a conversation we're having enough.
No. I think also, it's definitely a conversation to be had amongst, I don't think...
the heteros.
Yeah, I don't think anybody else should be involved. I also don't think anybody else should be asked as well.
Yes, nobody should be asked to come.
Why are you asking
moderate,
queer people
to teach
what
you?
should I do?
Because there's other dynamics that queer people are occupied with and should be occupied with. So I feel like that changed into. But I'm gonna on your feet just to close off. 5 needs or wants that you have right now that you need to shake some shame off. First one for me is, and I'm projecting this into the universe, I cannot be 30 without achieving this. It's a job in the health space. That is something that I want and need, and it is my life's goal to operate within that space. Secondly, it's a big booty Benz. Like, I have been feeling so much shame about how, like, when you're like, why do I really want this car? Why am I being so vain? People are dying. Niggas got retrenched. Like, I've been feeling a lot of shame about it, but I fucking want that Benz. Number 3 is I want to buy a house in the next 3 years. Number 4 is I want to be happy with my health. Like with my body, physically, with my mind, mentally. And I want to continue to push my body because I've been seeing now that I've been working out like since Feb. It is so amazing what the body can do as the mind gets stronger. And it's so amazing what the mind can do as it gets stronger. So many things that were so difficult are getting so much easier. So I'm really proud of myself for that, for committing, and I want to go further and further. And the last one is I want to shed the shame that comes with experiencing joy. I want to stop feeling guilty when I am experiencing moments of joy. I want to stop,
because it can't be not every day. When you and you're like, oh my god, people are dying. Girl, fuck that shit.
I want to be free. Like I really want to get, and it's.
I'm sorry, but no.
Nah, literally. Like, so I really want to. I think there was a long period in my life where I was very bigoted. I was very harmful, and the last 10 or so years, or close to 10, 8 years, I've been working so hard against that, and I've been like so people-centered, and I have not centered myself enough in that. And that's why I've robbed myself of so much joy. I want to unashamedly pursue joy and excitement and not feel like a fool when I say, I'm so fucking excited today. Like when Menzi posted his thing, I was so excited. Like I was like, oh my God.
He told about his new job.
I just want to find those small pockets of joy and hold on to them and not think of anything else outside of that. That's my top 5. Big booty bands, job and health, house, joy, health, happiness.
Yes. Okay, so for me, first thing is, which is why one of the reasons why I'm working so hard on this fucking masters, is definitely a job in agri and agri-tech. That's definitely where
I hate how like in our top desires is jobs. What the fuck? Capitalism.
Girl, what else I'm gonna do? So there's definitely that. I want that so badly. I really think being a tree hugger is gonna make my life so much better.
It's a need.
I was speaking to someone, they were like, oh my God, what a shift from banking to being a tree hugger. And I was like, it's gonna make me so happy.
Literally. And if I must take part in this system, let me at least find some joy.
Let me find some joy, you know what I mean? So I think, and also just being just letting go of the shame, attached to making that change. I think there's a certain level of,
as if you're letting something
yeah,
go,
it's like, oh
your
my God, you have so
potential.
much potential.
Yeah.
You could go so far. I don't want to.
And also, don't project.
Don't project on me like that. You don't know my plans. I don't know them either, God. So, so there's that. I think 2, definitely communicating my emotional needs a whole lot more. I think lockdown has definitely helped that a lot. But I definitely don't think I'm where I would like to be. So I definitely want to communicate my emotional needs a whole lot more, and not feel any kind of way about it, and not think 5 million times before I do it. Because oftentimes I'm like, oh my God, I need this, but oh my, like, what if? And then what happens? And then
you do it, and it's like,
and then you do it, and it's like, oh my, and then you like throw your phone away while you wait for and then you forget that like your laptop also gets the notification, and it like hits you right there. You're like, oh my God. So to not to communicate my emotional needs a whole lot more. 2, 3, I would like to move cities. I want to move to Cape Town, guys.
You're going back.
Esmgo needs to go to Cape Town. I'm
ready.
Sorry. I think we need to
She's
go.
trying to convince me to move to Cape Town.
I'm trying to convince
and
her.
I won't
Let's
lie.
go,
Like,
guys.
after...
The only thing keeping me here is Esmgo. I'm not even going to lie to you. Because
After
my friends, I don't
visit,
mind.
sure.
I don't mind coming to visit often. You know, I don't mind. But really, the only thing keeping me here is Esmgo. And
I need
we're
that
not trying to do
Constantia
that.
money, though. I'm not trying to be broke in Cape
What
Town.
do you
I've done that
mean?
before. I'm not trying to do that
You're not going to
again.
be broke in Cape Town. First of all, you have a partner. So it's not like you're going to be living alone. So both of you can pull money together
We can
and get
pull
a
that
decent...
Constantia money.
I mean,
Yeah,
you know,
you
I
know.
don't, you know. So I really want to move to a new city. I think I'm definitely done with Joburg. Number 4, I don't want to, I want to stop feeling shame over speaking about the things that, you know, I'm occupied by in the moment. Like I was a point where I was on IG and I was like, oh my God, all I ever speak about is my thesis. Bitch, that's because
that's what's happening in your
that's
life.
all that's occupying my life. I'm not even gonna lie to you. All that's happening in my life right now is work, and that's my thesis. And then there's like the other little portion, you know, the rest of my life.
And you can speak about anything that's happening.
And I can
in
speak
your
about
life.
whatever the fuck I want to speak about. If you bitches hate it, you can go somewhere else. It's really that simple. So I was like, I don't know why I felt some type of way. I was like, oh, everybody's tired of it. Bitch, scroll past.
It's because people shame you for speaking about a thing.
If I'm
And it's
interested
like,
in something,
it's
bitch, like
happening to me.
it's happening to me, not to
Yeah.
you. You are just watching it happen to me, and even then, I mean, it really like nobody cares. Even if nobody's watching, honestly,
I would still say
I would
it.
still talk about it.
Literally,
That's
I
what
get
journals
you.
are for. That's what vlogs
Yeah.
are for. That's what all these different things are for. So there's that, and I think it's tied into just like my interest as a whole. Just not feeling shame about that, being able to communicate my feelings around that. And then 5th, I think just being able to communicate my needs around sort of romantic companionship. I still struggle with that because I think it's a bit weird.
It
It's
feels
not
weird.
weird.
It's not weird.
Yeah, it's not weird. It feels weird. You know, there's just so much that I've sort of tied.
And also it's like that's a
it.
tough one.
Then
'cause
it's like, oh, you're jumping when you're acting, as when you're like sort of putting yourself out there wholeheartedly. Then there's that thing of like, oh my God, you're putting yourself out there too much.
certain things are very difficult because they involve other people, and other people
Absolutely.
might not necessarily be on the same page
Yeah.
that you're on.
Yeah,
and
and,
it's like,
then sometimes when shit hits the fan, it feels like a rejection of what you've put out, and it's like, girl, grow up. Like, to myself, that's what I'm saying.
try again.
Try like dust yourself up and try again. Like
there
no,
are
you're not
many
gonna
Ashy
die.
Larrys out there.
Oh, just, and they really are. And Lord knows, I'm not. My
No,
problem
there's
is
a well moisturized prince on the
somewhere
horizon.
On the horizon, you know. Hopefully, you know, in Europe.
Well
somewhere.
moisturized, the heart is dripping
The
in
heart
cocoa
is
butter.
dripping.
The mind, the
It's,
mind is awake.
lubricated by coconut
Thoughts,
oil.
They are conscious
It's-
of themselves.
Exactly.
They are aware of the world.
Exactly. And so yeah, that's me.
But anyway, if you I'm selling a date with Misho. If you wanna go on a date with Misho, you need to donate to Mount Olympus.
You have to donate like
Yeah.
5,000 though.
It's 5,000 rand. We're selling. It's an auction. 5,000 rand for a
That's
date
the
with
only
me
way.
show.
That is the only way. Because I'm not putting myself out there. I love how I'm like, yeah, just communicating my like romantic companion
5,000
needs.
rand, bros.
But I'm like, I'm not putting myself out there.
5,000 rand to Mount Olympus.
Yes. So on that note, also just I think let's put ourselves out there, man, guys.
Yeah.
In all
It's very
aspects of our
tough.
lives. It's tough. Oh my
It's
god,
very
it's
tough.
so tough, guys.
It's very tough.
It's
And
so
there is a
tough.
lot to lose.
There is, yeah.
There's more to gain though.
Yeah,
Because
exactly.
whatever you lose, but what you gain is what you truly wanted.
Exactly.
Like the risk,
Yeah.
it's worth it.
Yeah,
Because
the reward is worth
getting
it, yeah.
what you want
Yeah.
and knowing that you are responsible for getting what you want. You've played your
Exactly,
part by
yeah.
putting yourself out
It didn't
there.
just happen to you. You can't be
That's 3 steps out of 5.
a victim of your world all the time. You know what I mean? There
Be
are certain
involved
things
in
that
your
we
life,
need to be
yeah.
involved in.
So putting yourself out there, 3
Yeah.
steps out of 5. It's not step 1. It's 3.
No, it's a whole thing. You know, put yourself out there, work through that shame, work through it. You know,
If it means throwing your phone after
Yay.
sending the text, it's fine.
Exactly, it's
Just
okay.
on the
Like,
bed,
you're not
it will
silly.
bounce.
Exactly.
You'll bounce back.
You'll
You'll
bounce
be fine.
back, really,
And you'll be
it's okay.
surprised how many people are backing you out there.
Exactly.
Unless you're a hater ass bitch. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
unless you're a hater, and come out of that thing of people don't, you know, people aren't, they're not, you know, they're not supporting me, they're not thinking about me. Bitch, think
Put
about yourself first.
Put yourself
And then
in
go to
people's
them and
thoughts.
say, hello, think about me. Think
Yes.
about me. You have every right to demand that. You have every right to demand that. And there's nothing wrong with that. If they don't want to, then you know, it's fine. But you have every right to demand that. So yeah, guys.
Thank you for listening.
Thank you for
Please
listening.
don't
Don't
forget
forget.
to like, follow, subscribe, donate
Donate,
to Mount Olympus.
please. Thank you very much. Bye.